What happens when a high performer realizes the strategy that built their career is the same thing that's burning them out? Sound familiar? Welcome to Expert Insights, where we focus on healthcare, medtech, business, and sales. And in this episode, I sit down with Natasha Siegel. Natasha is a former med device leader who spent more than a decade with Mako and Stryker. That's where she rose from specialist into leadership during the growth of one of the most influential technologies in orthopedics over the last few decades. But now, as the founder of Natasha Siegel Coaching, she helps business owners, founders, and high achievers navigate the friction between ambition, identity, health, and fulfillment. In this conversation, we get into a side of performance that doesn't get talked about enough: ADD, attention deficit disorder, executive functioning, self-awareness, and what it actually looks like to build a business and a life when your brain does not always cooperate with the plan. We also talk about what made Natasha so effective at medical devices, why some people thrive in the chaos of the OR. We talk about how great hiring managers really evaluate people, and why humility and confidence may be the most important contributor for a medical sales rep. So if you're an entrepreneur, a leader, maybe a parent, a high achiever, or just someone who's trying to better understand how performance, health, and identity all collide, this episode should really hit home. Quick note, if you're trying to get into medical sales or know someone who is, check out Med Sales Blueprint, school.com/medsalesblueprint. That's SKOOL.com Med Sales Blueprint. And if you get value from this episode, subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and share it with someone who you think will care. If you have a question that you want answered on a future episode, or maybe you have a guest you want to recommend, just go ahead and message me on LinkedIn. And to learn more about Natasha, find her on LinkedIn and check out Natasha Siegel Coaching. Now, let's get into it.
I'm kind of going on my own little personal journey of learning how to build a business with ADD. So it's like one of these things where I feel like I've had it. It's not like I just recently was like, oh, I'm having these weird symptoms all of a sudden, and I went for a diagnosis. It was like a long time ago. I just wanted Adderall.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to New Jersey and it was like COVID, I had to go to a new place and I had like a proper assessment. And
How'd that go?
and I was like, wait, so I have it? They were like, haven't you been treated for this for years? And I was like, well, sort of.
Right.
It wasn't really.
Unofficially.
And so then I just like kind of figured, well, doesn't everybody have ADD? And I'm just like, I can't manage it, And I actually felt like quite a bit of shame and frustration around it for a long time. And then recently, I don't know exactly what it was. There was like a Mel Robbins podcast on ADHD and anxiety. And I just felt very validated. And I've decided that it is my new mission to stop taking medication for it and to learn how to just focus on my health and make that the thing that makes my brain function better. So I've not stopped working. I still work plenty, but during the days where I'm like, I don't know if I have time to go to the gym or go for a walk, I have so much work to do. Meanwhile, my ADD brain, which struggles with executive functioning, hasn't even planned out what I'm going to do for the day.
Yes.
I instead, where I'd be like, I don't have time to do those things because I have all this work to do, but I don't even know what I'm trying to get done. I am now prioritizing just me, my health, my physical health, my mental health. And I joined like Lifetime here, and it's literally giving me life. Like I'm getting rid of that stress of just like, I have to work. I'm just focusing on me, and it's amazing.
Yes.
It's crazy, actually. Yeah. So along with that, I've also kind of dropped this like niche of the partnerships. Not that I'm not coaching on it, because I still do have clients, but I'm not marketing to those people necessarily. I'm realizing that I was struggling with coming up with content to get out there to talk to people because I don't know. I love the life coaching piece of things. And when I get to life coach people and then there's career and business and marketing and all these things just weaved into it, but it's not the primary thing. It's like magic.
Yeah. Well,
Magic.
I definitely want to talk about the business because that's a huge aspect of things. But going back to the ADD and the moving away from Adderall, that's pretty intense. And it's something that I definitely manage, but it's like an unofficial management. I haven't actively sat down and go, okay, like I really need to be really conscious of where my head goes. I suffer from that too, this frantic mind, and like frantic for what? And then
Right.
you're looking for things to be like, I have to get this done. I have to cover this. Oh, you guys need me there. I can't. I can't tell you why, but
Yeah.
it's on a list somewhere. Or if you just give me a minute to sit down, and then trying to manage your own business, I think, to your point, has exposed that more, right? Where if you're working for a company, there's clearly defined things that you need to get done, and they're
Yep.
managing all the other divisions of the company. Where when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you have your own company, you could literally put yourself into any role at any time and feel like it's important. And I'll
Yes.
spend an entire week on something that I think is important. And it was like, did that generate me any revenue at all? Does that have anything to do with the business? No, but the website looks cooler. The color scheme is better. And it's like, I already had one. Why did I just make a new one? Right. But it
Yeah.
felt so direly important.
I know.
So I want to know what it's like to have removed yourself from, you know, any medication, and now the self-management, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been weird. It's been really weird because naturally, I mean, it's an amphetamine, right? So naturally, my first withdrawal symptom, I suppose you could say, is just like lower energy. But then what I didn't expect about, I'll say like a week and a half in, was I had some like pretty like mild depression. It was really weird. And I haven't experienced that in a very, very, very long time, arguably ever.
Wow.
So that was kind of weird.
From coming off of the amphetamines.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I probably should have talked to my doctor about it before I just decided to take it. But I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because I don't take it every day, and I just didn't think it was going
And
to
so many people
have
take
this
it. It's
kind of
common,
impact. I
right?
know. I
It's
know.
almost as common as coffee for some people.
Right. No, I didn't even, I really didn't realize that. And like I said, you know, when I finally went to go get it, that was when I first realized how common it actually was. Whereas at first I'm like, I thought it was so taboo. Like I was such a goody two shoes
Yeah.
growing up. I didn't do anything bad, you know. It was like,
Yeah.
didn't party in high school, college. I was like that freshman girl that, you know, got sick that first week because I didn't have the practice in high school. So, yeah.
You were
Anyway, so yeah, I'm just
late to
working through it.
the Adderall exposure.
Very much so.
And
Yeah.
you know, you're like, look, my job's on the line. I have these meetings all day long, and I can't be scatterbrained, right? This is an intense job, and I need to really perform. And that's the truth. Like, I can't have my head go anywhere. And then you start taking the Adderall, and you are zoned in, you are locked in. It's almost like the limitless pill, it feels like. One of the, as you say what you said about the depression, because I felt it too, one of the possible, hear me for what I'm saying. One of the best
Yeah.
things that happened to me was our mutual colleague told me that there was an unfortunate incident with a family member, and he was expressing the dangers of Adderall and the depressive states that you can be in when you're not on it, highs and lows. And it's like an amphetamine. It's another version of MDMA in some ways. So I remember after now having full on prescriptions, I was feeling depressed. And if he hadn't said that to me, I wouldn't be like it clicked one day. I was like, why am I
Yeah.
so sad? Life is fine. I've never just sat down and been like, oh, everything just is so bad right now. And I was like, I'm depressed. I've never been depressed before. And I just
Interesting.
started taking this stuff. So I started to really monitor my intake and adjust it. But to your point, I didn't speak to a physician. I just did self-management. But it is
Yeah.
dangerous. It is dangerous in that way.
Yeah. And the long-term effects are not really like studied enough. There's some link to Parkinson's and like all these things that I'm just
Oof.
like so not worth it,
Wow.
you know? And it affects my relationships. I was finding that I would be like irritable towards the end of the day when it's wearing off, and that's the
Mm.
time when I'm with my husband and my kids. Are those the people that I want to be irritable with?
Yeah.
No, you know? So, and also like, as I'm learning more about it, there's some thoughts around like there's not just two types of ADD, there's multiple types, and how your brain functions affects like what type of medication might actually work better for you. And a lot of
Mm.
people might do just fine if they know what vitamins that they're deficient in, and just eating well, like the effect of food dyes and sugar and all
Yeah.
those things, that how that affects your body. It's like I've always known, you sleep 8 hours a night, you get good
Yeah.
exercise, and you eat healthy. Those are, everybody knows that those are the things that you're supposed to do. But until I started really educating myself on ADD, I didn't understand the why, right? Like when you're training people at work, one of the things that I always explain to people is like the why behind doing something so that they're more likely to actually go along with it. And now I'm learning the why, and it's a lot easier for me to
Yeah.
say no to the ice cream when my kids are having it, or you know what I mean? It just
It's so
it's
true.
easier for me to put myself to bed sooner. Whereas before, Gary Vee says you can function on 6 hours a night. And I'm like, no, but ADD brains actually need more sleep.
Right.
All the amazing
Interesting.
things I'm learning. So
Well,
fascinating.
yeah, you can function. And to your point, I literally just had this discussion with the person I work with. It's the quality of your function, and the intake of the food and the energy levels that you have, the focus that you have. Um, what the problem with all of what we're saying is it can be extremely overwhelming to start implementing the monitoring, the health aspects, the food, the eating, the, getting sun, grounding, doing all these treatments that allow you to optimize yourself. But it's also, remember, you're just optimizing. So whatever you do, it's for the better. From what I understand, there are a ton of people, and I can speak to that feeling of feeling overwhelmed that I didn't get my red light therapy and my sauna and my this, that, and the third, and now I feel like I didn't do what I need to do and I didn't accomplish it. And that sounds like my ADD mind just going like, I
Mhm.
haven't done my stuff. But that's all like bonuses. But certainly there are things that I've done that I've implemented where I feel way more effective, and I'm conscious of when my brain dips, and I'll either step away from the computer, step outside, go have a snack, or just call it quits for the day because it's not even worth pushing through. Where
Yes.
where when I'm pushing through, I'll work for an hour and it'll be the equivalent of like 10 minutes of work if I'm like spot on. So
Yeah.
what's the point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, and then I was
Yeah.
I was
Like
gonna I
I
was gonna
envision.
say like gut health and all these other things, which blew my mind, which kind of touches on what you were saying. I had one of the grossest things I've ever done in my life is get a fecal exam and
Get a
mail it
stool,
in.
send in a stool sample.
I mailed my poop through UPS or FedEx or whatever it was with my own hands. But apparently it's a normal thing, or it's a growing thing. Um, but it was worth it because I found out that I'm deficient in acromansia, whatever that means. I'm not going to say I'm going to preach this, but I do know that I wasn't absorbing certain foods
Yeah.
properly. So now I have that supplement, and I'm feeling better, thanks to UPS who shipped my poop to another
That's
part of the planet.
amazing. I
Yeah,
know. I wonder if the UPS and FedEx guys like know that, like, what percentage of packages have fecal matter in them?
right. They know like the
Do
bag.
you think
Oh,
ChatGPT knows the answer to
they're
that?
just like, um,
We're both gonna we're both gonna search it after this
yeah,
call.
100%.
I hope that makes it into the recording.
What have I done?
Oh my God,
I
too
recommend it
funny.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Mail your crap.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Mailyourpoop.com. You think that's a website?
Should be.
The
We could start a
question, see, the
business.
questions that my mind has, it's like crazy. And this is one of the tools that so one of the things that I'm learning is just like what systems and tools do I need to put in place to make myself most successful? So when I'm sitting here working at my desk, once I learned, I had no idea ADD was a dopamine regulation disorder. I did not know this.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Also, that it's very common for people with ADD to actually have decreased activity in their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for all your executive functions during a state of concentration, which is the opposite of what is supposed to happen. Bizarre. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that is actually what it feels like for me. I have great intentions. I have big ideas, great intentions. And as soon as I go to sit down to like think and plan, it feels like I can't. It's the craziest thing that happens in my brain. But the benefit of being educated, the benefit of wanting to be educated in it, but also being a life coach is knowing that I'm not learning these things to become a victim to them. I am learning these things so that I can do something about it. So one of the things that I have implemented is in the moments where I find myself chasing squirrels, which happens all day long.
Squirrel.
When I chase a squirrel, I have this sitting right in front of my desk. It says refocus on my post-its that say fucking watch me. And then I have these little marbles. So when I catch myself and I stop going down that rabbit hole and I refocus, I give myself the dopamine hit of the little marble.
I love that. The mini
It's
reminders.
so fun. And then I'm also going and working in different locations. Like now that I've joined Lifetime, they have a working space there. So in addition to that, learning that right after you do strength training, your brain is at an optimal thinking state. Most of the things I'm gonna say around this is not gonna sound very well educated. So I've been, instead of like rushing home to shower right away and get to my calls, I'm like, no, I'm gonna exercise.
Yeah.
I'm going to like sit there and get some work done, see what comes to my mind. I'm walking outside around the pool because it's beautiful and walking is great. And I'm just listening to binaural beats or, just things that like really keep my focus. And I lost my train of thought.
You're maximizing on your the knowledge that you have now helps you maximize on what you're doing with your time and when. You know that post-workout, you have this, I don't want to call it like a superpower, but like this, there's a moment when you're maximized here. So let's utilize that time, right?
Yes.
And that's what I feel like I'm doing, is because the more you understand yourself, my best friend says so many people walk around not healthy, but they don't even know what healthy feels like because they haven't felt maximized, optimized. They're just kind of the same day in and day out, McDonald's or whatever it is, not sleeping enough, and it becomes the norm. The Gary V, 6 hours, I got 6 hours, and you're just like going through life like this.
Yeah.
If you give yourself the opportunity to just take a few days to get on track and like, wow, I feel really great. And like, that's you.
Yes.
If you just kind of stay on top of it and don't beat yourself up if you fall off. But
Totally.
everything that you're saying is like, I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
So good, right?
Yeah.
I know. So my mission right now is to like figure these things out.
Yeah.
And then help other people do this, help other entrepreneurs that struggle with this, because it's game changer. Like I've just sat back and I was very emotional multiple times just thinking about how much time in my life I have actually wasted just like not functioning at an optimal way, right? Like not planning my time has prevented me from living my life to the fullest, has prevented me from being as productive as I want to be, as efficient as I want to be, which means I'm wasting time doing things that don't matter or wasting time taking too long doing things. And it's affecting when I don't have like a very specific end goal and a plan to do it, I retreat from all of my relationships. Like my best friend, the reason why we're still so tight is because she is really good at reaching out to me. It's not that I don't think of her. It's not that I don't want to talk to her. I feel like I can't because I always am catching up. I'm always catching up. So I'm like, I don't have time to call my own mother, you know? It's
Natasha, this
wild.
is my life too.
Oh my God, dude.
How many
It's gonna,
people actually feel this way? But I've never had
so
this
many.
discussion before where you're like, I'm sorry, I just can't. Or people are like, where have you been? And it's like, it's not you. I've been so busy. And then in my head, I'm like, I could have easily
Yeah.
called. I just didn't plan it right. You
Yes.
know, it takes 5 minutes to reach out. That's what they're thinking. And then, but at the moment, you're like frantically. I literally have on my wall here, it's a drawing of an elephant, and it says, "Are you trying to eat an elephant?" Because when I don't have a specific planned out to do, I have 10 things that need to get done, and I'm trying to multitask them all, right? And then
Yes.
I don't see it anymore. I have to change it. You know, it's just sitting there on the wall. But for a while there, I was like, pick one thing, just do one thing.
Yeah.
Give yourself like 30 minutes to it, an hour, and then when you're done with it, step away, right? Because
Right.
what are we built for, right? Sheesh.
I know. I'm hitting vulnerable and deep but like this is like the life-changing that this is what I live for. This is why I
Yeah.
became a life coach, you know? This is so much more powerful than anything I could have done. Not that working in med device sales isn't wonderful because
Talk about frantic.
dude,
Everything's happening.
wait, this what's so crazy. This is you should market to ADD people because I'm going to tell you why. Here is why I struggled so much in my like IT consulting sales job where I was sitting at home making cold calls to CIOs of multi-billion dollar companies as a 23-year-old knowing nothing. I hated that job. I'm a smart person. I'm a motivated individual. I could not get myself to make a plan, do my research, call the people. I was like, ugh. I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out. I hated it.
But
Hated
you
it.
know it. You know exactly what you need to do. You're well
I knew
aware.
I had to make the calls. I didn't want to. It felt so challenging for me, and I didn't understand why other people were able to do it and I wasn't. Then I'll say, I mean, reality is I basically got fired from my job. And I went and got a job the next day on 3rd Avenue in New York City at a bar just to make sure I had some income coming in while I figured out what was next for my life. That's when I
Yeah.
got introduced to medical device sales. And so when somebody pitched it to me, they're like, "Oh, you should go into med sales." And I was like, "No chance. Like I haven't taken a science course since high school. I get squeamish watching Grey's Anatomy. No way." And they said, "Well, they make really good money doing it." And I was like, "All right, I'll check it out."
Yeah.
I went on one ride along with somebody and I was like, "I have to do this."
This is it.
Getting out and about, meeting people in person. I loved it so much but nobody wanted to hire me because I had no experience. And I was like, I know this. How am I supposed to get the experience if nobody's willing to hire me without experience? It was
Yeah.
so infuriating. I wished I had something like what you offer. And the only thing that I knew available was the medical sales college. And it just was so out of reach for me at the time to invest that money. And so but I just was so committed. I dedicated, it took me almost a year to finally get the
Okay.
job with Mako. And it was the perfect combination for me between like IT and sales, which is I studied IT and marketing in college. So I thought IT consulting service sales was going to be the most perfect combination, but it really wasn't. It was Mako. And the reason why I thrived in that role is because my job was actually to be ADD. It was you're in the OR, right? You're in the operating room and you have surgery happening, which is forcing your attention in
Yeah.
many ways.
Yes.
But I'm also thinking about what's the next step for the surgical tech? What's the 10th next step for the surgical tech? What trays need to be turned over for the last case of the day? What's happening in the next room? what CT scans do I need for tomorrow's cases and then next week? And I was like, I was a maniac, and it was amazing.
But it's
I
needed.
crushed it. I crushed it in that role. Crushed
I've
it.
never thought of it that way.
Yeah. I was like, holy, this makes so much sense. That's why I was so successful in that role. And then I got into leadership, and that was still fine. The busier I was, the better I was. The more time I had available in my calendar, the worse I got.
Yeah. Yes. Then you're
I
putting.
work well under pressure is just, a better way of saying I have ADD.
That's so true. I mean, the best reps are the ones who obviously you have your main point of focus, but they're anticipating, thinking, considering, answering other phone calls, messages are coming in, being conscious of everyone else in the room that you have to support, all these other things.
Thriving in the chaos, not getting overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, so someone who just kind of zones in and doesn't multitask at all, or doesn't like to, you'll get caught flat-footed, right? And then they turn to you, and it's like, I'm not prepared for that. I was focused on this, and you have to be like 10 people in your head managing all these different things. So you are right. That operating space as a rep is built for someone who is thinking about multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
That was interesting. So you, 12 months or so, and then you get your first medical sales role in Mako, which is amazing, by the way. How did you get into Mako, and why was it such a good match? Was it luck that it just so happened to be? 'Cause that
So,
happens a lot,
my now husband, then boyfriend, his cousin was like, "Oh, I have a friend that from college that works, in medical devices." And it was Rob Katz. And so
nice.
I reached out to Rob, and
Love Rob.
they weren't interviewing. I know, I love Rob too. They weren't interviewing then, but he gave me some advice and said I can connect you, and wanted to help me out. And then maybe a month or so later, he reached back out to me and said, "Hey, we're hiring now, their first ever associate in the company."
Okay.
So I was like the 30th person, rep type person hired in Mako. And I don't know, just
Employee number 30.
something like that. I mean, not employee, field-based person,
Field-based. Yeah.
30,
Okay.
something like that. So I was the first associate in the company that was hired. And it was, I don't know, it was just, I loved technology. I loved learning how things worked. I love connecting with people, building relationships. It was just
There's so
perfect.
many different aspects to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's
I loved it. So it was kind of lucky, right, that I just happened to connect with somebody who was in my personal network, but he didn't work for some crappy company. He worked for
yeah.
what ended up being like
But he knew
an
you were looking to get in
industry-changing
to call you.
technology. What's
He
that?
he knew that you were looking to get in, which is why he
Yeah.
called you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my goal with this company is it's a couple things, but to speed up the process of like, okay, I want to get in, to actually getting in. But not just getting into a role that fits you. So
Yeah.
if you have a spouse and kids, you have some limitations, and you're not going to become a trauma rep. That doesn't make sense unless you never want to see them. There's, obviously travel and all these different circumstances that I need to understand for someone to be like, okay, let's remove these types of roles to the side, and you're probably going to be interested and successful in these sorts of roles. So let's zone in on that, because so many people enter medical sales and their taste of it is gross. Like, this is not for me. I was just speaking with an Arthrex manager here in Atlanta, and we both effectively agreed that saying I want to get into medical sales is the equivalent of saying I want to play sports. It's like, okay, what
Yeah.
kind of sport, right? Like there's football where you have full-on contact. It's a team sport. Or you could go swim in a pool by yourself, right? And it's just you. And a lot of people don't understand that
Yeah.
aspect of it. And it's like, okay, let
Yeah.
me help build this world for you. But we have to
Totally.
figure you out, and then
Yeah,
we
because
can
not
match
only
you.
not only is it the sport, it's like, are you a quarterback? Are you
Yeah,
like
right.
offensive lineman? Like, what is your
Yes.
strength? What do you like to do? What are you good at? Right? There's a really big difference even
Absolutely.
because there's different fields within med device and there's different roles. There's
Yeah.
sales and now the clinical specialist. Honestly, I would say like since Mako became such a big thing,
Right.
a little biased, I think, but also I think pretty factually, at least in orthopedics, that became like a really big thing in ortho.
If you've made it this far, go ahead and click subscribe now so you do not miss the next one. And if you or a friend want help breaking into medical sales, the best place to go is medsalesblueprint.com. I think that's a
Two
phenomenal
different
role,
roles.
and I've recommended that to multiple people. Being the product specialist, especially for those who don't have sales experience, want to
Yes.
get in. You
Yes.
no longer have not no longer, you won't have a quota, and you're not held to converting customers. Other
Right.
than that, you're doing almost everything that a sales rep has to do,
Right.
right? And so it's a
Right.
phenomenal way to train, or you might be like, I like this. I don't want the pressure of having to talk to the doctor
Totally. And quite
or
frankly, I
convince.
think it's better for the doctors to not have these, young aspiring, I have to prove myself, so I'm going to try to sell you something because that's more important than the patient.
Yes.
Not saying that that's everybody, but when you're under so much pressure and you only have 12 to 18 months to prove yourself and you're just learning, like 12
Yeah.
months on the job is when most people feel like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Yep.
So how can
And
you
you're
expect people to
still,
just develop that relationship with surgeons and and sell them something when they're just learning the business? It's crazy. So
yeah.
I totally agree with you. That's what I've been telling everybody. And, my role within Mako and Stryker was helping people see that the clinical specialist is actually the perfect pathway to sales versus hiring. So in our branch, we stopped hiring sales associates and we started
Interesting.
bringing people in to sales through the clinical specialist pathway. Those people learned how to sell naturally because of how they learned without pressure to develop relationships with surgeons
Yes.
and how to just become passionate about the product and sell it because it's the right thing to do, not because they have to hit quota.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. You're killing two birds with one stone. Because I know for a lot
Yeah.
of associates that go in who have the expectation to eventually sell, or even sell at the time, some associates have to, it muddies the waters between training and selling. And then the important part is the customers cringing when they listen to someone who doesn't know
Ugh,
their ass from their elbow trying to talk
I know.
about, trying to convince a surgeon to stop or a doctor to stop doing what they've been doing and start using this. And I think it's really, in a lot of ways, it's, you got to cut your teeth and make your mistakes, but it's really bad for the confidence level of that individual,
Yeah.
and also for the visibility of what this company is about. They're putting this person in front of me to convert, right? So going that route makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing I do. I have not been in every single role and worked for every single company, but I think evaluating based on the job description and asking a few questions, I'm like, wait, hang on, you might want to ask this, right? Hey,
Yep.
why was the previous person in this role? Why are they no longer there, right?
Yeah.
And you have guaranteed money, or questions like that, so that you don't step into something that is not what you thought it was,
Yeah.
and you're set up for success. Now, it's very hard to for everyone to really understand that, but it's like, as long as you know that you don't know, allow me to hold your hand and guide you, through that
Totally.
process. And so I really enjoy that. Call me crazy. I don't know why, but it's fun. I'm putting myself to good use and seeing people become successful. So
Yeah, for sure. No, I interviewed hundreds of people for the MPS role, and I even helped, interview for sales roles as well. But man, there was a very big difference across even the best candidates that were filtered out through the recruiter.
uh-huh.
By the time they made it to me, there was still a big difference between people who like really wanted this particular role
Yes.
versus people who were just like, I guess to your point, like wanting to get into med sales. And I'm like, but why?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I'll
have
work
to
really
have a
hard.
good story.
I'll work really hard. And it's like, okay, do you know what you're doing? right?
Yeah.
Everybody that is applied is willing to work hard, and I appreciate that. However, show me that you're competent and aware of what's going on. If you were to start day one, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're getting yourself into? Why do you want to do
Yeah.
this? So you did a lot of interviewing. What role were you in? What were you interviewing for? And what were those experiences like?
So I just kind of like worked my way up the ranks from the associate to the Mako product specialist to the senior Mako product specialist to the manager of the area. And then I just, when I first started, there were four Mako robots in the entire Northeast,
Whoa,
and only, well, I'll say three of us, and then one like launch specialist person in the entire Northeast when I first
that's
started.
crazy. Think
Crazy.
about where Mako's at now.
I know. Um, I know. It's
You helped
insane.
make that happen.
I did, and it was very fun and really, really cool to be a part of that and to be a part of the organization, when it was just, just Mako and a smaller organization. And I got to be a part of development conversations for future iterations of the software and,
Yeah.
just everything like that.
Well,
And that was the piece that I really loved.
how many people are, it's the norm now for to use that piece of equipment, let
Yeah.
alone that type of equipment, just robotics, but to use Mako? How many people are getting trained in residency and fellowship on this is
Yeah.
how you do a total knee procedure. This is how you do
I
a
know.
total
It's
hip with the
crazy.
Mako robot because you placed them there. You know what I mean? Like
It's
because
so
you
cool.
train the staff there and now it's
Yeah.
become the norm in healthcare. It's
It's
crazy to think
amazing.
about the effect. There's no pat on the back or anything like that. It's like, congratulations, you've now changed healthcare. But that's the
Yeah.
cool part of it.
Yeah, it was very cool. So, but back to your question though. So I, hired almost not everybody because there were other managers as well, but
Yeah.
at the highest, I think I had like 35 people on my team, which is insane and way too many people for anybody to have to manage. But we were just working through some transitions with
Sheesh.
with other people. So I interviewed a lot of people, and as a hiring manager, my what I was looking for would change based on what my hypersensitivities were at the time. So, for a bit, technology was the hardest thing for people to learn. How to troubleshoot the robot was really, really challenging. It was hard at the time to hire, I'll say, older people because the technology just didn't connect with them so easily.
Yeah.
So they struggled a lot more with it. So when I was hiring, I just wanted technology, people who were really smart. So somebody introduced me to an engineer. I was like, "You're hired. Like, let's go."
Yeah.
But I never did my due diligence to figure out like what did he really want in his career, and I ended up losing him a year later because he wanted something different. So over time I learned obviously what to look for. And after a while, and Stryker uses Gallup for the profiles.
Right.
And when I grew from,
Understanding
up to
personalities.
14 people, right. When I grew to 14 people in 1 year, I was like, okay, these people are all amazing. They're all really different. There's got to be something that's common in between all of them. So I literally like matrixed out all of their characteristics, all the people, plotted it out. I'm like, where is there an overlap? Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
All different.
So then I just thought about it logically and I said, what do the best people have? And this became the thing that I always searched for when I was interviewing people. It was people who had the perfect combination of humility and confidence. That's it. Are you a good human that is willing to work hard? Okay, fine. But like, do you have the humility to admit when you're wrong, to say sorry when it's not your fault? And do you carry the confidence enough to the point where you're not arrogant, but you're confident enough that a surgeon's going to believe in you to get them through the case?
Yes.
That the team is going to believe in you to get the job done.
Yes.
And that was
100%.
exactly what I was looking for all the time. Like, if you have to find a way to display that. And a lot of people, when they're interviewing for jobs, they have a hard time being themselves. They want to show up and be somebody that they think that they have to be that they think that they're looking for. And that's no good for anybody, including the person that's interviewing.
Yes. People think that they don't do well in interviews or don't get callbacks because of something on their resume. And I believe 95% of the time when they say it's something on your resume, that's just because they're busy and they just need to tell you something that you can't question. But what it comes down to is the way you present yourself, and it's the way you position yourself and your personality. And you just spoke about it in a completely different way than I ever have, but that makes total sense. Because if you, I like to say, speak with conviction, right?
Yes.
That I firmly believe in what I'm talking about, but you never talk about something that you don't know about, right? You'll be respected for that. And that's that humility factor. Your ability to understand that dynamic is, and how you're coming off is incredible, because when you're in the interview and as a hiring manager, you've kind of cringed looking at this person trying to come off professional or what they think is necessary. And you're like, this is so not you. This is exactly what my customer is going to see if I were to hire you.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to be something that you're not, right?
Right.
Be who you are. We're looking for personality and people, right? And
Yes.
I think there are tons of people that have that humility and that confidence. They just need to find it.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to kind of do the work for them sometimes because I knew that they were more than the way they were presenting themselves. So sometimes I would just, I would get a little personal with them and just say, like, a lot of people think that they should keep personal out of it. And I think it's the exact opposite. I think, listen, yes, there are boundaries. You don't need to share your entire life story. But I have a client who who I worked with, and she called me to update me yesterday. She's like, Natasha, when I first hired you, I had $1,000 in my bank account. I spent half of it to work with you for just like a couple of sessions. And she ended up getting a job that was double the income as a
Hell
new,
yeah.
like, first job in med sales, double what she was originally going for.
Wow.
Crazy. Why did I bring that up? I brought I brought it up because she had an amazing story that she felt like she had no business telling.
Ah,
And I was like, you have to tell this story about
right.
yourself. She was a child, like, immigrants, didn't speak English. She needed to find a way to
Yes.
get into college. And so she Googled, how do I get into college and not have to pay for it? And she figured out how to get scholarships, and she got herself the scholarships so that she could go to college. I'm just like,
Give me
you have to
that
tell
person.
people that.
Yes, I will hire that person, right? They've
Yeah.
just been proving themselves their whole life and working hard to what they
Yes.
have. That's who I want to
Yes.
hire. Yeah.
Right, right. So I think there's so much to telling the story. So sometimes I had to do the work for people. Like, tell me about your family, right? You
Yeah.
can't, there's rules around, in interviewing. But tell me about your family. Do you have any siblings? Like, what's the birth order? Who's the best person in your life? What would they say about you?
Love that.
And I make them laugh because I'm like, no, not like if they know you're interviewing, but if I just ran into them on the street and they told me that they had a sister, and I was like, oh, what is Sarah like? What would they say then? And
Yeah.
they always laugh and they're like, well, I would hope they would say,
Right.
X, Y, and Z, right? And it just breaks a barrier a little bit
Yeah,
and
they
makes
open up. You're
people
talking
feel
about
more
these things
comfortable.
and you can relate, and it's the things that they probably don't expect you to be talking
To
about, but in
ask
reality, we're
about,
just
yeah,
humans, kind of just trying to figure it out.
right.
Um,
But that's who I wanted to hire, was human, like good, just good people.
I love that you were able to help her out. I love that she went ahead with not having a lot of money, but spending the money on what herself, right?
I know.
Somebody
I
help
know. She's
me.
amazing.
Like, there's what else are you gonna spend with that money? And now it seems counterintuitive, and I think it's because I want to say I know it's because there's not an objective thing. Like, what's the ROI that I'm getting on this $500? Well, you're getting this, but like, you're taking a shot on yourself. So if
Yeah.
at all you believe in yourself, or you're going to have to count on yourself to do something. You're going to have to count on yourself to get a job and a
Yeah.
career. Invest in yourself. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm repeating what people say online. I just haven't figured out another way to say that, right? That's a perfect example. She's hiding
Yeah, but
herself, and that's exactly what people want is her. Tell me about you, the person.
for the people that are like considering investing in your program, the people that won't invest are people that don't trust themselves to get the result out of the program.
Mm-hmm.
You have to at least trust yourself or just choose temporarily, borrow somebody else's trust in yourself, belief that you're going to make it worth it because the only thing you actually can control in the world is you.
Yeah.
So she, I think, just trusted herself enough that she's like, I'm not going to spend this money and not get anything out of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to do something with it. So why invest in anything but yourself
Yeah.
when you're the only thing you can control? She's 8, 9 months in the job and she's already saved enough money and bought a second home.
Damn.
She's like 25 years old,
How long
24.
ago
I
was
mean,
this?
I just talked to her yesterday and she told me this. It's amazing.
I love that. You
Yeah.
know, one thing I've been doing, and for my business, and I think it's benefiting everyone that I come in contact with through the business. So I have this urge to go, I see it in you, like you got it. Like if you just, right? What I'm realizing is it's not the right time for them. And it's not up to me. When they're ready to invest in themselves, to really focus and go, all right, I gotta, whatever it is, whatever a traumatic moment in their life, or they're just tired of it, or whatever, the stars align. That's when. So I need to be more protective of my time by being like, look, I only work with people who are absolutely ready to go, because otherwise I'm wasting my time and my
Yeah.
business is
Yeah.
not thriving in the way that it should be if I'm
Absolutely.
worrying about you and I'm trying to drag you along, right? And since I've been changing my mindset, because my whole business is focused on helping people, but I can only help people that are ready to be helped. And
Right.
that has been very helpful for me to not chase clients and like, trust me, you can do it. I know it. I see it in you. It's like when they're ready to hear that and like absorb those words is when
Yeah.
we're ready to work together, and then the teachings will be
Yeah.
effective.
The teacher is born when the student is ready.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down on the wall.
I don't know where I heard that, but it's not mine. I can't take credit for it.
I should give it to you.
Mr. Miyagi or something. I don't know.
You Miyagi me. Wax off.
But it's so true because as an entrepreneur, as somebody trying to build their business and get clients, it can be really easy to get so invested in certain people and just be like, I wish I could just take my belief in you and inject it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't, like, you have to let them find their way. And that was actually one of the reasons why I kind of took a step back for a bit from career coaching, because I didn't want to feel like I was pulling people along, like I was dragging them along. I have that mentality that you're talking about now. At the time, it was really hard, but yeah, but also in your marketing, like as you're talking to people, right? Just side note for you, you have to market and speak to people who are ready, not people who are struggling.
Yeah.
The struggle can be the pain, but you also have to speak to the desire and to the empowered version of them, and then you're gonna get people that are empowered.
When they're ready to make moves to get out of that struggle, because I think so many
Yeah,
people are within the
yeah,
struggle. We're all
yeah.
struggling
That's
to
what I
some
mean.
degree. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. When you're ready to be
right.
uplifted, you're ready to uplift yourself out of the struggle, and you recognize that the best way to do it is with help, with support.
Yeah. You don't want to coach people that you have to drag along.
Yeah.
You want to only coach people that are like, I'm basically people that hardly even need you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're that last person that's like the final,
Yeah.
you know, that gets them over the finish
Yeah.
line.
Starting the company, I just like, even though I know this, I kind of couldn't help myself, because you have just a few clients coming in here and there, and I want to make a success out of you. I want to make success out of you. Um, but they're just showing moderate interest. And it's kind of like, when you're in your territory, right? I have X amount of facilities or X amount of customers to sell to, and you're approaching the end of the quarter, where are you going to zone in, right? Who are the ones that are actually going to potentially convert their business over to you? That's where you should be spending your time always, right? You can nurture the other accounts and work towards them on a longer path. But in reality, the business is getting to the point where I'm fine with only focusing on the people that are dead set focused. So that's been great.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
your business, I want to talk more about that. Because you have been helping business partners, but your passion, you can't help it. If tell me if it sounds right, you can't help it but just want to be that life coach aspect and not just zone in on just working with business partners.
Right. I was zoning in on business partners because everyone always says like you're supposed to narrow your focus in order to build a successful business.
Yeah.
It's easier. Like if you talk to everybody, then you talk to nobody. And so, and they're not wrong, but I felt too restricted in that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. At first, it was hard because I learned through my training that I can help anyone with anything, which is amazing in so many ways, and also for an ADD brain,
Yeah.
really hard,
You've been talking
And
to me and
so,
I'm feeling everything you're saying.
yeah, yeah, right. So, it's like first I started with moms, and then I was like, I don't know. I've always worked with men. Do I really want to exclude men from all of that? And then people just naturally started coming to me for career stuff. So I was like, I'm going to do career stuff, and I ended up getting a lot of male clients. That sounds interesting. But then it evolved. It was just people were coming to me because they saw that I was a coach. And as people came to me with their problems, I was like, ooh, I can focus on that. Ooh, I
Yeah.
can focus on that. And the reality is I can do it all. But so I have a career client that still had some sessions remaining in what I had originally sold him. It wasn't a timeline, it was just like a number of sessions. So he went down this path of going for this job that he ended up not getting. And all in the same time, there's a lot going on in his family. So he's like, can we hold off on the sessions? Yes, sure, no problem. Comes back to me. I checked in with him. I was like, it's been a while. How you doing? And his wife wants to divorce him. His kid's having all these problems, all these things that I'm like, dude, that's what I can help you with. Like, I can help you get a job, no problem. Fine, we'll get there. But the life stuff, this stuff is what you need to address. And in
It's
just like one conversation, touching on general life coaching concepts, and he became a new person
Yeah.
like that.
Well, one of the hurdles that I have is that people are. I have to figure out where they're at in life. It's one of my first set of questions is where are you at in your
Yeah.
life, and then I can evaluate if you're even going to be able to put in the time, or you're going to be effective. And so I don't do the life coaching aspect, but I have to figure out is this person where they're at, where they need to be in their life, in their mind, right, to
Yeah.
move forward. So
It
it's
matters.
one and the same. Yeah.
It totally is, because now he's like determined to just better himself, and he knows that that is going to be the thing that helps him get the job later. He's focusing on him, building these good habits for himself, and diving into personal development and just teaching his brain to think differently. And I know, and he knows that that's going to be the thing that actually helps him get the job more than the career, you know, like more than job interview prep.
Right. That'll come with it. In the same way
Hmm.
that you helped that other client that you had, where you were
Yeah.
like, talk about who you are as a person,
Yes.
and that will
Yes.
get you the job. Don't talk about, I have,
Yeah.
I've sold 3 things, I have this experience, right? It's like everybody has experience, but who are you, the individual that I'm hiring?
Yeah.
Build on
But I
that.
think you have such a good approach too, because you have all of this in your own way. You have this mentality in your own way. And I feel like a lot of coaches who specialize in something. Maybe they're a professional coach, an executive coach, or whatever. Like they get very focused on goal setting and
Yeah.
the how, like what to do, the strategies, the things like that. And there's just so much more
Yeah.
to it. It's like it's all up here.
I I agree with you. And what I have done is built a process step by step because I realize people need that. Obviously, it
Yes.
makes logical sense to do that, but also people need to see like where's the beginning, middle, and end? How long is this
Yes.
book that I'm reading?
Yes.
Right? Nobody likes
Right.
when somebody puts on a PowerPoint, you sit in the room, and then they start. It's like, is this a 85 slides in this deck, or is this five? How
Yeah.
long are we going to be here? What's the intention of it? Can you show me
Right.
a table of contents?
Yeah.
So mapping out the path, and it's like, this is what we're going to do, and then you're going to get here, and then we start checking things
Yes.
off. But within those things, it's not like it's not completely objective. In fact, a lot of it is subjective. It's discovering who you are, not like some deep thing, but
Yeah.
okay, now we know this about you, right? This is going to make it easier for you to build out your resume, for you to talk in your
Yes.
interview. Like it all comes together. What I would ask overall, if you were to summarize someone who is either looking, who is applying, interviewing, what advice do you have for those people after everything that you learned from both sides of the table?
Be very, very true to yourself about what you want. And more importantly, why do you want that?
Yeah.
Because that is going to fuel the energy you bring to any interview.
Yes.
It was very obvious when people, wanted the job because, they thought it was going to be good pay one day versus the person who really just loved the idea of being a contributing person in the operating room. They had a personal story, whatever. You don't need a personal story, but it certainly helps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. For me, there was a time where it dawned on me, and I share this with all my candidates. A majority of the people that you speak to that are not in HR, like the real hiring managers, they are successful people from the position that they're hiring for. They weren't trained really to interview. They weren't trained to manage, honestly. So
Yeah.
they don't have the time, the patience, or the refined approach of interviewing people. So you're going to interview all different sorts of personalities. But there's one thing that they all know: who can do it and who can't. And will they articulate that well? Most of the time, not. Will you recognize? You will not recognize when they are judging you or discovered something about you and you don't even realize it. Because just like you said, if you are just trying to join because you want the job or you want to have that business card that says that company name on it, the way you just answered this random question, they can tell. They just spotted it. Or
Totally.
the fact that you are passionate about this specific role, you know what it's about, you know what the day-to-day is like, and you are here to do that. Now they want you more, right? Now they recognize that, and they'll be able to tell through their questioning and evaluation of you.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, don't force yourself into a role either that doesn't, doesn't feel right just because you think it's like, yes, it's a good company. Yes, it's a highly sought after position. Maybe other people, maybe other people in it, but
Yeah.
is it really going to provide what you desire in your life? It,
Yes.
it matters. It matters. Like, why do you want it? That's going to affect how you show up.
Yeah. There's the catch 22 of it's like, well, I just need a job and I want to get in where I fit in, right? Or where whoever will take me. But then you're 6 months in and you hate where you're at and you're angry at the company, and it's like you're the one who applied for
Yes.
it, pal. Right? You're the one who
Yeah.
went in the interview like, I want this thing. But they're just looking for a job. But
Right.
if you, I guess I'm promoting my own business. If you can
You
sit
should.
with someone who will tell you these are the roles that you'll be effective for, there is a plethora out there for you.
Yes.
Especially now that healthcare has a shortage of people. Healthcare has a shortage of humans working hard. From nurses to everyone, right? Everyone wants to be an influencer or AI or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Vacation blogs, or just do like IT sales behind the desk. Medical sales is something that cannot be replaced because hospitals have been trying to get rid of the sales rep for decades.
I know.
And they can't because it's impossible, right? It's the people that are unaware of the dynamics of what go on, and they're just looking to cut costs, right?
Just the idea around like, wouldn't you rather really feel really confident to the point of like having humility and confidence, having genuine confidence, not false, like I'm just pretending to be confident because somebody told me I needed to appear confident, but actual confidence that this is the right role for you. So what I tell people is what matters when you interview is your thoughts about yourself, your thoughts about the job, and your thoughts about yourself in the job. If any of those three are off at all, it's going to show up in your energy. You could think you're great. You could think the job is great, but then you could have doubts about you doing that job, right? Or you could think you're great and that you could do the job, but not really love that job because of something about it that you don't like. So now you're just like, but I feel like it would be a good job. It would be good to have on my resume, or it pays really well, or it's with a good company. It's like, no, I really want that job. And I think I would be really great at it because of X, Y, and Z. And you say that with conviction, to your point, like have the conviction, but have the humility to also know, like, I wouldn't be good at the exact opposite role. Yeah, ask ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT, who am I? What am I good at? I'm serious. You'd be shocked what it can tell you. You'd be shocked what it can tell you, or even just let it prompt you. Let it give you some ideas. Like what are the things that like come really, really easy to you all day long? Maybe you don't think it's a strength, but to others it would be. Like people who can plan their day. There are people who think that they are crazy because they have to plan. Maybe they're anxious, I don't know. And they think of that as there's some negative thoughts around it, but I'm like, that's amazing. That's a strength to me, the ability to do that. The other two last things that like I had written down around advice, like the best advice. I can't even tell you one person that necessarily like said it to me. Just for me, it's a combination of all of the people in my life. Yeah. But the biggest thing that I've been learning is to just like own it. The book Extreme Ownership is like one of my favorite books. It was incredible, especially as a leader, but as an individual contributor. If you read that book and you understand that, that would be huge, huge. You can't control anything but yourself. I can't like harp on that enough. So many people are victimized. They talk about the things that are happening in the world and, oh, well, I can't get a job because of the AI, the automated, the ATS, whatever. If you sit with that statement, then you're stuck with that and there's nothing you can do about it. No. Find, own it, find a way. There's always a way.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And remember, if you or a friend want a job in medical sales, the best place to go is medsalesblueprint.com.